Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think we all look forward to being back and in person again on such an important topic. And I agree, some bad actors seek to influence votes and advance their agenda through half-truths and outright lies. But free speech means that the answer to speech we don't like, or even speech that's harmful, is more speech, not less. And I'd like to add a government truth commission to tell us what they can think. That doesn't mean that each of us don't have a responsibility to tell the truth and speak honestly. We absolutely do. Unfortunately, many voters have lost faith in our elections because of the false narratives being pushed by many on the left. The Biden administration is no exception. I'd like to submit for the record a Washington Post article, fact check from March 2021, in which the president received 4 Pinocchios for his false claims of the Georgia election law, titled "Biden Falsely Claims the New Georgia Law Ends Voting Hours Early." That type of false information is dangerous to voters, and I hope we have time to discuss it today.
Without objection.
Thank you very much. Further, for some other examples of this administration's false narratives, on January 19th, President Biden was asked if he believes this year's midterm elections would be legitimate. President Biden responded, quote, "Oh, yeah, I think it easily could be illegitimate. The prospect of being illegitimate is in direct proportion to us not being able to get these reforms passed," end quote. Of course, he's referring to the partisan HR 1 federal takeover of elections that would gut voter ID, removing key voter integrity provisions. Those statements aren't helpful. During an interview with Today Show the next day, the vice president actively contributed by falsely claiming that the upcoming elections may not be free and fair if the Biden administration's partisan agenda does not pass. It was such a copy and paste moment, you have to wonder if the vice president found it Kinko's. Unfortunately, the vice president and many on the left are peddling false narratives that Republican-led states with new election integrity provisions are trying to suppress the vote. It's false. Republicans want it to be easy to vote and hard to cheat. In Georgia, the state's new law didn't suppress the vote. In fact, in Atlanta in November, we saw turnout increase by 17% after the law was implemented. The Constitution is clear, and it states that the federal government does not have the primary role in setting election law. In administering election, it's well within their power to implement states have the power to implement safeguards such as requiring photo ID. It's exactly what states like Georgia did, yet many on the left continue to spread dangerous misinformation about voter ID to suppress the vote. In fact, recent reports highlight how the new Georgia project conducted blatantly partisan voter education in taxpayer-funded public school classrooms that, quote, taught students that voter identification laws are restrictive and make voting more difficult. Voter ID does not deter legal votes. It's a reasonable safeguard to maintain faith in our elections. Any conversation about impacting elections must also include the partisan targeting that occurred with the use of private elections administration funding, including so-called Zucker bucks by election administrators. The Center for Tech and Civil Life, working with Mark Zuckerberg and others on the left, poured $350 million into heavily Democratic areas, including 5 cities in Wisconsin, demonstrating shifting vote totals in favor of Democratic candidates. The amount of private money used to influence election administration, an inherently nonpartisan government responsibility, should concern every American. As part of our focus on free speech today, I hope we call out the falsehoods we have seen pushed by the left, continually claiming that common sense voter integrity provisions like having to show a voter ID makes it hard to vote. These types of lies have real consequences and impact people's decisions to vote. I look forward to today's discussion, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.